Good morning, kiddos. Coach Troy here with my brother-in-law.
Adam?
All right, and today we're going to be talking about Risk. That's right, this pile of hot garbage. All right, all of our childhoods have been tainted by this thing right here. Okay, we all looked so cool. We had armies, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were battling. We were killing each other. It was going to be so much fun. But then someone hung out in Australia, and then the game never ended, ever, and it took 17 hours.
Sounds about right.
I don't think I ever actually completed a game of Risk in my childhood, did you?
No.
That's
But I did learn about fictional countries in Asia that I'm still not sure if they actually ever existed.
Oh, Jesus. All right. Did you have the cube version, or did you have like the little mini version?
I had the little mini version with the ones that I remember look like my grandpa's pills.
That's right. Oh my God. Yeah, this game is garbage. My biggest complaint is it could be anywhere from 2 hours to 17 hours of the same die rolling. It's just repetitive and boring and it's not a good game by any means. It's the kind of thing that's going to stop people from playing games.
Yes, and like you said already, someone would hole up in Australia and no one would ever touch Asia, and that was about your game.
Right? I still hate Australia to this day because of this game.
Many do.
All right, let's get to the list.
Alright, so my first game was Crossbows and Catapults. A great game from my youth, one that took very little setup. I don't know if I ever actually played the game. We just shot each other with the crossbows and catapults, and the game ended when someone got hurt. There was lots of fun, an ending, and it was over fairly quickly. The perfect war game.
I can't even argue, all right? It has the toy factor, right? Instead of little miniatures or cubes for Risk, you got those cool soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely lost all our marbles, and we had to like replace them with other pieces.
Oh yeah.
And those rubber bands that always broke.
It was a Frankenstein game by the end.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And it was always was it the cannon that sucked and the crossbow that was good? It was something that was.
The crossbow never hit anyone, or the cannonball never hit anyone, but the crossbow you could aim, and if you got fairly good, you could hit someone, and you had to call them not in the eye.
Sorry, the catapult, it took a little while, but you could get good with the catapult.
Yes.
Oh yeah. No arguments here. That's a solid pick.
And I was very good. As you can see, I still have both my eyes.
All right. And my number 5, Star Wars Risk. It counts because it says Risk in the name. All right, does that count? It's nothing like Risk, okay?
I'll give you this one.
This one's a little bit of a cheat, but I will say, here's my real number 5, and it's still kind of a cheat. Any other version of Risk is better than the original Risk. Anything. All right? Castle Risk, even like the European version of Risk was better than what we got here in the U.S. Seriously, it was, because it had an end game. There was goals that you were going for as opposed to just trying to dominate the entire planet, which just, again, never happened, all right? So, I mean, heck, Doctor Who Risk, which I think they did a horrible job. They could have done so much better. They had options. Oh, I'm disappointed. But that one could have been better. And, of course, the very best version of Risk is Risk Legacy. If you have not played it, you need to go through a campaign. All right, this is the original campaign game, or the original Legacy game. All right, as you go through after each game, things change. You tear cards up, you put stickers on the board, different bonuses. This is actually this is the best version of Risk, hands down. If you haven't played it, do it. I don't care if it might be a little outdated as a Legacy game. It's still amazing. I still love it. I'll still play through with anyone who wants to, all right? My number 5, Risk Legacy.
All right, my number 4 is Stratego. Another fairly simple semi-war game, you could call it, turn-based with attackers and defenders. The thing I like about Stratego is, unlike Risk, you can still win at the very end after you're getting slaughtered. You capture the opponent's flag, and you win. It has nothing to do with anything else. There are no points. There is no time limit. Just get the flag. Doesn't matter if your whole army dies or not. You get the flag. I like that about Stratego is even when you're out and you're not holed up in Australia for 3 weeks, you can still lose. So Stratego is definitely my number 4.
Yeah, that's a good pick. All right, it's another game from our youths. Yeah. Yeah, you can spend all your time destroying the other person's army and still lose because they grab your flag.
Always rooting for the underdog.
Let's combine two of the longest and most absurd games of all time, Risk and Diplomacy, and you get Game of Thrones. All right, so one of my biggest complaints about Risk is how long it takes, and this is still on my list. But it does have that, it has that diplomacy aspect, but it's not straight crazy like diplomacy, all right? There's no way you can win this game without working with the houses around you. You have to make deals. It's more than just rolling dice and battling things out. You got to set up. You got to work with people. You got to know exactly when to stab them in the back, because if you do it too soon, they're going to catch on to you and everyone else is going to get you. If you do it too late, they're going to stab you in the back first. So timing is everything. You've got to be charming. You have to deploy your troops right. You have to set up, your area just right. Otherwise, you're going to get wiped out. So it's a good combination, right? You can't just overpower somebody. You got to work your way through. You got to be a little weaselly. And yeah, it's a little long, but still a solid game. Game of Thrones.
My number 3, and I'm sure everyone anticipated this, but Axis and Allies, very similar to Risk. It can go on forever. Yes, they can go on forever, unless you're playing Troy, in which case I can beat them in roughly under an hour. So there is that. So if you do play with an inexperienced player, the games are pretty quick. But at least with Axis and Allies, there are point ways to win. There are other routes to victory. You don't necessarily just have to take Corellia on the first turn or defend Corellia on the first turn. And Axis and Allies is also a very good multiplayer game. It's not just head-to-head, so it does have that benefit as well. And I find the games with 5 players are much more interesting than 2 people, because you have 5 different strategies than 2 strategies. So Axis and Allies is definitely a more in-depth Risk that goes a lot deeper. It has more pieces, and if you were good at the game, you'd probably appreciate it a little bit more.
But outside of that, all right, then my number 3 is Heroescape. All right, this game is fantastic. I absolutely love this game. It's out of print, sadly. That's the downside is. Well, yeah, because Toys R Us and Hasbro don't know how to market. The actual aftermarket of this game, though, is huge. There's still a humongous, thriving community that actually takes like a bunch of the HeroClix characters. No, it's huge, and it's actually way better than any of the Axis and Allies people. Those people are all, they're mostly died off because they're all, in their 90s. But the Heroescape crew, these people know what they're doing. There is so many different troops for this. It's fantastic. They all play different. There's special rules for just about every single troop, but it's so easy and it's so simple. It's very luck driven. I will give you that, because it's all dice rolling. Any dice battling game is going to be very luck driven, but it's just so much fun. It plays so quick. It does take a long time to set up, but that is one cool thing about it. Like, the board is like it's like playing with a bunch of Lego pieces just about. So you get to set up this awesome board. It has these awesome terrain tiles, and it's actually a ton of fun. Have you ever actually played it?
I have.
All right. Well, you're going to actually argue that it's not a good game?
Good game, yes.
Right?
It stops at good, though.
Oh, no, this game is fantastic. I wish it was still in print. They did like that Magic of the Gathering Arena of the Planeswalkers. I think they tried to kind of resurrect it. But it had that Magic the Gathering stigma to it, so like only a certain crowd is going to play it. And, yeah. So sadly, that didn't last too long. But if they were to come out with a new version of this, I think it would be fantastic. But it would be, of course, sickly expensive, especially if Fantasy Flight did it.
Yes.
They'd come out with like new expansions every other month, but you'd have to spend a ton of money. But you have to do already if you're going to buy it, so why not? Anyway, that's my number 3, Heroescape. Fantastic game.
Alright, that brings me to my number 2. I'm going to go with a newer game that I've recently been playing. I don't think it's that new, but Red Alert Space Fleet. So far everything's been medieval, knights, swords. We've made it all the way up to World War II with Axis and Allies, but Space Fleet, Red Alert, takes us well into the future. The thing I like about this game is there is a standard template. I believe in the book there's 8 starter games with different quests, different setups, different asteroids, different planets. You also have the option to actually buy your pieces. You can set those pieces up in different places. So each game is similar, but it definitely is much more different based on the setup. And you're in space, and how cool is it to actually fight with spaceships in space and to get away from all this swords and medieval and, charge the line. So definitely I want to go with something futuristic space, still a war game, still a turn-based war game, still dice-based, but it's just a completely different setting, different map, different layout. I think you'll very much like it.
All right, I actually haven't played this one, but it sounds actually pretty cool. I'd like to give it a try. So
Definitely worth a try.
all right,
You
invite me
won't
over
be
next time.
Didn't get my last message?
All right, my number 2 game. Now, if you like the area control aspect of Risk, if that's the part of it that you did enjoy, a game I think you're going to like is Fnos. All right, I like this one a lot. This is one of my favorite games. There's area control in it, but you're not like battling for like border-to-border area control. There's just different areas of a map that you're trying to control. And there's several different armies with special abilities. So and it's so simple. Your turn is either you draw a card or you play a hand of cards. Draw a card or play a hand of cards, and you use whatever special abilities are there. So it goes really fast. So it's like a lot of times what I hate about games like this, like these dudes on a map games, is the downtime between your turn. It's like when it's your turn, you're going to spend, a good 15 to 20 minutes thinking about the move you're going to do, and then another 15 to 20 minutes to move all the little pieces to where they need to go and whatnot. This cuts that down. There's none of that in this game. And there's several different armies, and you change them up with several different rules. And yeah, I have a lot of fun with this one. A lot of people complain about the artwork because it's like got that, that's that traditional, whatever, cartoony D&D, whatever, generic fantasy, I guess it would be called artwork.
Going back to AD&D for those true nerds out there.
Right, yeah, and so it is, but I don't mind it. I kind of like that. The place markers, though, those weird pastel colors, those discs, that I don't quite understand. I get they wanted contrasting colors so it wouldn't be confusing, but man, those are really ugly. They don't make sense. But
no one's going to mistake those for anything else.
Why? Yeah, but outside of that, though, this is a fantastic game. It's fast. It scales well, whether you're playing with 2 to 4, and it is quick. It's quick. When you add more people, you're not adding more time. And you'd say your downtime, your turns come up like that. So a fantastic game, Fnos.
Which takes us to my number 1, which is the number 1 by default, obviously. And that would be Twilight Struggle. The thing I like about Twilight Struggle more than the other games is it is a war game, but you don't actually have war pieces. You're trying to do influence, you can make coup attempts, you can make realignment attempts. You're trying to gain influence in countries, either by cards, by the luck of the dice. And it kind of ramps up. It also follows a historical level over time in 3 different phases of the game. It's multifaceted, and it's very fun. Easy setup, easy takedown. And the 2 games, I've played this for over a year, and they really haven't been the same. You're dependent on cards, you're dependent on strategy. Every game just seems to be different. Some games are done early in less than a half hour. Some games do take on, so you truly just never know what you get. And it's not a war game, so it's not just my sword is better than yours, or I'm +2 and you're -1. There's just a lot more to it. So definitely Twilight Struggle is my number 1.
Okay, yeah, definitely a better game. I don't know if it exactly replaces Risk, though. I don't know if it has that. I mean, cool, yeah, war game. I can see how it's a war game. It's a Cold War game. Yeah, but I just don't quite see how it replaces Risk with the battling. But I will give it to you that it's definitely a better game than Risk. It's a good game, but Risk replacement, I think we can do better. In fact, speaking of better, 1775. Oh, you cannot even roll your eyes at this one. This is a fantastic game. Now, this is exactly what Risk should be. Like, if this is Risk remade as an actual good game. All right, it's got the theme of the American Revolutionary War. Right. But it's spot on. It's not just the Americans versus the British. It has the French troops are there as well. There's the loyalists that are fighting so there's different sets of armies. It's not just two armies. There's different sets, and they play differently. It's a combination of card battle and dice battle, and it plays well with 2 players or 4 players. So there's no just 2 or 4. I'm going to say. And it's so well done, the way the battles work, and the end game. And it's a set number of turns, and whoever has control, like the most control of the colonies at the end of the game, is the winner. So you have to think much differently. It's not about wiping out. It's not about just having here and pushing over and pushing somebody out. You're not playing that, it's that tug of war. It's I have to control these areas, but I can move over here and sneak in a few there where they're weak. It's fantastic. It's just there's a lot going on, but it's not a difficult game to play. You can teach this game super easily, and it's fantastic. It does have it, right? Yeah. I can't figure out those complex games like Axis and Allies, but I can figure this one out. It does use the cubes, which might turn some people off. Like it doesn't have the minis or whatever, it has cubes, but that doesn't matter. You still get really immersed. The map is beautiful. Like it's nicely made. This is, I say, if Risk was made today by someone that actually knew what they were doing, this is it. This is the game. My number 1, 1775, Birth of a Nation. All right, so there you go. Now we can start the healing with this list. All right, we can come together and just try to move on and get past our poor youths that have been soured and tainted by the horribleness of the game Risk.
Yes.
Right. And after that, we can start to get rid of other things that have, damaged our youths, like, Axis and Allies. But that's all good. All right. Again, thanks for joining us, Coach Troy here. All right.
Adam, the brother-in-law, I guess.
All right, and I'll see y'all next time. That mustache makes you look like a child of Wilford Brimley and Mike Ditka.
I don't want to be Mike Ditka because he told everyone to get out.
Yeah.
Wilford Brimley I could take.
He was in Cocoon, man.
I know.